Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel. So if you've been watching this channel for a while, you might know that I'm a big fan of Sustainer systems on guitars. These are the electronic active sustain systems, these electronic systems built into the guitar that give you infinite sustain and sometimes these really cool harmonic effects. Now really the only downside or issue with these systems is that there are just not that many companies that make guitars that have them installed like on regular production guitars. It's pretty much just Schecter and then Fernandes, which sometimes Fernandes guitars are not that easy to get, and then also there have been a few Jackson guitars over the years. And that's pretty much about it for like regular production guitars. So anyway, I've been searching for years for a company that makes these sustainer systems that you can add on to any guitar. And now I have finally found it, and I have installed one of these in my totally rad Jackson Rhodes with the reverse headstock. You can see it right here in the neck pickup position and a couple of mini switches down here, and this guitar absolutely screams. Now I'm going to explain all the details of this, but just please kind of bear with me on this because there are a lot of details to go over and it gets a little bit complicated, but I guarantee for the tones you can get from one of these systems, it's worth watching this video. Okay, so first of all, the company that makes these is called Veyz or Veyz, I'm not exactly sure, Veyz Sustainer, and the company is based in Indonesia. Now, like I said before, they build these sustainer systems that you can add to any guitar, and the key here is that these are built to order. So depending on the guitar you have, the pickups and the controls and that kind of stuff, depending on that, the wiring for the sustainer is going to be different. And so when you place an order, you tell them what kind of guitar or what kind of setup you have or you want in the future, maybe if you're doing a bunch of mods or something. They build it to your specs and then they send it to you. And despite all of these systems being custom built, they're still actually really affordable. The one I have here, I think is like $179, like $180, and generally they're probably going to be under $200, and the price just varies a little bit depending on the type of sustainer system you want and the setup you have. Now, the other thing that's important about this is that there are a few different types of sustainer systems. So you can have one like the Sustainiac setup, which comes on some of the Schecter guitars, and if you want, they can build you a setup like that. Or you can go with a setup more along the lines of the Fernandes Sustainer, which, although that's an older system, some people prefer that. And they've got a huge variety of different sustainer pickups or drivers, as they call them. If you want like a single coil sized one or a humbucker, different types of pickups. And also, if you want to be using for the other pickup in the guitar, in this case the bridge pickup, if you're using an active pickup or a passive pickup, then the system is a little bit different for that as well. And so just depending on all those different choices and options you have, they'll build you exactly what you need for the guitar. Now, I want to mention this is not a sponsored video. I still paid for this setup here, but this is, like I said, it's just something I've been searching for a long time because there are not that many choices for guitars with sustainer systems like from the factory. And I've always been looking for a system that you had a lot of options and you could add to any guitar. Now, I should mention Sustainiac, the brand, right? They do have a website. It's like a website left over from the 90s or something. There's just a bunch of like text pages that you have to scroll through and stuff. And you can, I believe you can, order a Sustainiac brand system through them, although that's just their system, and also they are more expensive than this alternative right here. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the demo of this. I want you guys to hear what this thing sounds like and the different types of sounds that we can get out of it. And then there's some more stuff I want to talk about with how you use it and that kind of stuff that we'll talk about after the demo. But real quick, guys, as always, if you enjoy videos like this, checking out cool new affordable guitars and also staying up on all the latest news in the guitar universe, you have not already subscribed for some reason, please consider subscribing right now. Okay, let's go ahead and plug this in and let's listen to how this thing sounds. Okay guys, so let me talk a little bit more about the system and this guitar also. And then there's a few other things I want to talk about, like if you order one of these systems. But basically this Sustainer setup, it has the two different modes. You know, you've got these two mini switches down here, right? One of them just turns the system off and on, and the other one switches the mode that you're using. Now, one thing to keep in mind, some of the other systems, the guitar has to be plugged in for it to turn on. This system here, if you have this switch on, even if the guitar is not plugged in, the system will be active. And so what will happen if you leave it on, right? You can hang this guitar up on your wall. Oh, can you hear it? Right? Okay, so what will happen is if you leave it on, you can hang it up on your wall, and after a few seconds, you'll hear, you'll hear this noise, this string noise, and that's because the system is just vibrating the open strings. So you just, remember, at least you'll hear it, so it'll remind you to turn it off. But yeah, remember to turn that switch off, of course, so you don't run the battery down, that kind of stuff, even if the guitar is not plugged in. Now, also, I want to mention a couple other things about this guitar, because this is actually a very budget-friendly Jackson Rhodes from their JS series. I think this is the JS 34RM. It's got the reverse headstock with the maple fretboard with the black inlays, the red bevels and everything. Super cool. Of course, I've changed all the electronics in here, but I also swapped in a Floyd Rose 1000 series bridge in place of the original Jackson by Floyd Rose kind of licensed Floyd Rose bridge, which in my opinion is kind of the weak link of these JS32 series guitars with the double locking bridges. So swapped in a Floyd Rose, a gold Floyd Rose 1000 series bridge, great bridge. I've got the Sustainer set up in the neck pickup, and then I've got a DiMarzio Chris Broderick signature humbucker in the bridge position. And shout out to my brother-in-law, Steve. He gave me a set of these pickups that he took out of his Chris Broderick signature Jackson guitar. He installed a different set of pickups and he gave me these. And so I've kind of used them in a few different guitars, and now they're in this one, and I'm loving this setup here. So the other thing I got to tell you guys about with the Sustainer system, two things. One is the installation. Now, you do have to do a little bit of soldering when you install these. Most of the wiring is already done for you, but there's some kind of minimum hookups that you have to do basically like 3 or 4 wires you have to solder into your existing system. The other thing is, I'll show you some pictures of what the wiring looks like here. There's some stuff, right? There's a little circuit board, and of course there's a 9-volt battery which powers the system. And so you might, if you have a small control cavity, you might have a little trouble cramming all that stuff into the control cavity. So in this guitar, I actually, because there's no back cavity here, it's just the cavity underneath the pickguard, so I actually had to kind of remove a little bit of wood on the inside of the cavity just to make everything fit in there. But depending on the guitar you have, you might not have to do that. Now, the other thing here is if you order one of these, be patient, because keep this in mind, right? They are building it for you. They're building it to your specs. And obviously, depending on the system you want, if you're using passive or active pickups, that's all going to change. And you can even request the color, right, of the pickup bobbins and everything. So just, be patient with them. It actually surprised me, and that the build didn't seem to take very long, maybe even less than a week. But then, of course, they're shipping it to you from Indonesia. So between the build time and the shipping time, you might be looking at maybe 3 or 4 weeks to actually get it to you from the time you place the order. So just, like I said, it's a really cool add-on for guitar, but if you order one, be patient. Now, the other thing is I mentioned the color of the pickup bobbin here. I requested a white one, and it looks really cool. I'm happy with it. But one thing I noticed is that when I was installing it, I kind of scraped the edge of it a little bit when I was installing the pickup ring, and it chipped off some of the white paint. So it's just like a black pickup bobbin that they paint, to the color that you requested. And the paint kind of chipped off, I think, pretty easily. So number one, keep in mind when you install this, be careful and don't do what I did. And then number two, maybe that's something that they can improve in the future, is just so that paint is a little bit more durable. Okay guys, so as usual, everything I was talking about in the video, I'm going to have links to down in the video description below. I will have a link, of course, where you can get one of these Sustainer systems. You can check out all the different systems they have available. And I will have a link for, if I can find one, because I'm not sure if they make this anymore, but if I can find one, I'll have some links for this Jackson Rhodes guitar with the reverse headstock. It's really cool. I did a video about this guitar, just the stock guitar, a while back. This was one of these guitars, like when you bought it new, it was like $300, $350, super, super affordable. But then they only seemed to make them for, I don't know, 2-3 years, and then they discontinued them, and then I couldn't find one. I finally found a used one. Anyway, I love this guitar now, and now that it's got a great bridge pickup, it's got the Floyd Rose 1000 in the bridge, and the Sustainer system, this guitar is pretty sick. Alright guys, that is pretty much it for this video. As always, let me know what you thought of it down in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will talk to you very soon.